Good to be with you again. As we look forward to Father's Day this year, it causes me to reflect in many different directions. One direction is certainly my personal family history, which I will share a little bit with you during this video. But I'd like to begin with my reflections that come from my spirituality. You know, when we use the name Father, unfortunately, the mention of a father might be painful or uncomfortable to some people. But even that indicates the importance of a father. When we use the name Father as Christians, we need to reflect a moment, first of all, on that title we give to God, a title that St. Paul writes about when he says, "For this reason I kneel before the Father, from whom every family in heaven and on earth is named." And then in the epistle to St. James, we hear, "All good giving and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no alteration or shadow caused by change." And of course, the Gospel of St. John tells us, God so loved the world, our Heavenly Father sent his beloved Son into the world so that we might find salvation, peace, and forgiveness. So with all these things, first of all, in mind, that title deserves, you might say, that respect from that dimension of its connection to God, who is Father, who gave us his Son, and gives us the Spirit to understand this in a deeper way. You know, earthly fathers are in some ways an icon of this Father. Now, you might not know this, but church iconographers, men and women who write, as they say, icons. That's how the Eastern Church speaks of them. They don't say paint, they say write these icons. They, in a sense, include in that work that they do a flaw. It's very interesting. There's always a little flaw. Maybe almost looks like the paint got away in a little dip, a little spot. But it's there purposely. To remind you that it is, first of all, a creation that is not perfect. And yet, though it's an imperfect creation, it leads us beyond sometimes those imperfections to see something more deeply about ourselves and about God. You know, it's very interesting, the flaws and even the idiosyncrasies of our fathers sometimes make them even more endearing to us. As the years have gone by, more and more I'm endeared to something that used to upset me at first with my father. He would tell me the story about how he came back after World War II and had the opportunity of the GI Bill to go to college, and he was thinking of getting a law degree. And he went to the college to set up a meeting, and the admissions board said, "Well, you know, you're going to have to take a second language." My father looked at the board and said, "What do you mean, a second language?" So I speak English, and I speak Polish. And my dad was very literate in both reading and writing of Polish. And he took it very proudly that he knew the language very well. Well, his stubbornness, which could get in the way sometimes of things with my father, got in the way here. And he just was so upset with them that they would not accept Polish as an appropriate second language that he didn't go to college. It's really odd because he was a man of great intelligence. And I bet to this day that if he had gotten that law degree, he would not have been a postal worker. He would have been a politician. He was a man that loved to talk to people, relate to people, and he was very concerned about justice being done, especially to the laboring class. And I could just imagine him being a politician. So this original thing that used to upset me also causes me to be endeared to this man who really, in a sense, appreciated his culture in such a way that he gave it to us. Even though we did not learn Polish as well as he did, we certainly came with an appreciation for the heritage of our Polish background that little story brings to our attention. We know in a very real way that he was a man of industry, great worker. He actually would have sometimes two jobs. think it was sometimes 3 at times. He would take upon himself, finish his postal work, and go from here to there for part-time jobs. He was not a man of credit. He didn't like credit. His family lost a couple homes during the Depression. I think it made a great impression. You don't take out loans. You pay for things. If we had to need a refrigerator, we need a new stove, new furniture, he didn't just take it on credit. He worked for it and then saved the money and bought what he needed. So my dad was a very frugal man in a way, and I take that on in some ways. Some of my priest friends get a little upset with me. I'll be really tight about money and not willing to spend on some things. My dad could be found in the morning, early in the morning. He was the first one up. He woke me up for high school days. My mom, because she was very sickly and anemic, he wouldn't bother her, and I wouldn't bother her. He'd be up having his cup of coffee in the kitchen. I go showering and getting ready for high school, and by the time I was ready to come into the kitchen to eat, he was already gone. But he'd spend that morning time sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee, and there was a little red prayer book. I think it was called My Daily Bread. It was worn from use. Holy cards inserted here and there, novenas and prayers that he would use. His daily prayer was part of his faith that he took every morning. But that daily prayer was also translated into Sunday Mass, which he never missed. And even though sometimes my mom was not well enough to come to Mass, all of us kids were put in the car. And Dad would monitor us in the church to make sure that we were receiving a proper instruction, that the importance of Sunday Mass from him for our faith. It's very important as we look at these memories and think about these memories. I have to say that the most overwhelming remembrance of all is of a man who struggled to provide for 6 children. Most importantly was his unbelievable devotion to our dying mother in her last days. My title as Catholic priest is filled with the challenge to live up to the devotion, love, and personal faith of my own father. Have a great and wonderful day.